All right, we're back. We are back. Episode number 4 on the Silver and Blue Huddle. And what a week it has been for me and my Dallas Cowboys, man. I am like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I didn't even know if we was even going to have a show this week. I'm disappointed. I'm angry. Like, I thought we was going to win the damn game, man. Like, we shouldn't have had no problem with the 49ers. But here we are. And I don't know what to say, man. I'm kind of speechless, man. I'm speechless. And of course, we're joined by my man, So Amazing New Jersey. And we also got a special guest, Cousin Rod, a.k.a. the biggest cowboy hater on the platform on planet Earth. And here we are, man. Like, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
I'm looking forward to seeing what he got to say today.
Exactly. Like, this man is calling me at halftime. Yo, can I get on the show? Can I get on the show? I'm like, bruh, I know we only down by 14, but my God, like, can we lose the game first before you request to be on the great Silver and Blue with other Cowboy Nation, baby? Like, oh my God, man.
I knew where the game was going, so I just had to go ahead and let it be known that I need to be on the show.
So you just knew that we was gonna lose, huh?
I knew it. I saw it already. I had a vision. I saw it.
Oh, now you had a little dream, huh? Okay, Mr. MLK. Okay, having a dream. All right,
it was like Vegas. He was seeing the writing on the wall. He thought it was like a Vegas bet. He's like, I'll put my money down on now.
Oh,
that's it.
God, bro.
Man, great way to segue. So, Sean, don't you owe me $20 after that game?
I do not recall. I would not make such a bet like that. I do not remember that. Like, I got a little amnesia around here, man. Like, no, I don't think so.
You pulled the Bill Clinton real quick.
Yeah,
I did not.
Do you got do you got some receipts? You like Deion Sanders? You got receipts or no? Exactly.
Listen, and true Cowboy fan nation, renege. Just go ahead and renege, and you won't admit to it, but we'll get that figured out another time. It's all good.
My God! All right, bet. Let's hop right into it, man. We got a lot to discuss. Like I said, very disappointing performance coming from the Dallas Cowboys this week, man. I really thought that we was back after last week's performance. I'm like, yeah, we are back. We're going to the Super Bowl. We back on track. And then they come out and play like ass. Dak was ass. CD was ass. Tony Pollard was ass. The coaching staff was ass. Everybody just need to be fired. Everybody. Fire the whole staff and, like, call in the replacements, man. The Dallas Cowboys, and they embarrassed me, man. I'm ashamed to be a fan, okay? I would have came up here with a plastic bag over my head if I had one, okay? But I didn't.
I'll be honest. I mean, one of the biggest things that I get from it is that, not only did we get beat up and lose, but we physically got beat up and we lost a lot of injuries. You got Leighton Vander Esch is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, right? And then you also have Turpin hurt his ankle a little bit, but he might come back depending on how the week goes in practice. CJ Goodwin, we lost him for the year with a torn pectoral. So we got physically beat up, and we might have to now figure out, like, where do we go defensively moving forward for the rest of the season?
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, talking about physicality of the game, right? Like, I notice whenever, like, a team is getting out physical, like, teams would go to the sidelines or players would go to the sidelines and there'd be a bunch of arguing happening on the Cowboys sideline. Like, you didn't notice any of that, bro. Like, when Tony Pollard fumbled, did you see anybody in his face on the sidelines? No, you didn't. Like, when Dak Prescott over there throwing the interception, did you see anybody in his face? No. Like, CD wasn't getting the targets that he thought he deserved. Did he jump in Dak Prescott's face at any point during the game? No, there was none of that. Normally, when there's a bunch of frustration happening amongst the teammates, like, they would go on the sideline and they would argue about it. You didn't see none of that from the Dallas Cowboys, man. Like, I'm kind of wondering, like, is there something going on within the team that needs to be addressed? Because they're not really seeming like they're on the same page right now.
Well, no, you know what it is? I could see where you're saying that because you wanted to see that emotion on the sideline, especially as like a Cowboy fan.
Right.
But you know what? I'm kind of glad we didn't see that, right? Because that goes to show you that they do have a good camaraderie, together as a team. And I think they just realized, like, at the end of the day, like, look, I hate to admit it as a fan, but I will say that they knew, like, this is a physical team that we're going against. And, it's just like being a boxer, right? It's like you're in a ring and you just know you get hit a couple times. You're like, ooh, all right. Like, I'm in for a long one today. So I think that's what it was. I think it was just more of a mutual respect. I don't think that it was more like, oh, pointing fingers at each other, yelling like, oh, you made a mistake. I don't think it was any of that. It was just literally like just being outsmarted. And then you got to realize too, another wrinkle that a lot of people didn't know, right? Like, you have McCarthy calling plays, right? And then on the other side, you got Shanahan too, right?
Right.
So I mean, you got guys that are trying to compete, like kind of see like, oh, who's the better play caller? And then on top of that, Shanahan used to be with Dan Quinn over when they were with the Falcons.
Right.
So that's another wrinkle that a lot of people really didn't think about, that, you know, when you have a former coach that coached with each other on the same team, you don't think he knows, okay, this is what Dan Quinn wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wants to do this. And I shout out to the Niners, man. I will say they neutralized Parsons, but the way they neutralized them is by getting the ball out of Purdy's hands. That's one.
Right.
And they did unique blocking schemes for Parsons. They chipped them. They hit him with two people, blah, blah, blah. And that's, you know, I mean, like I said, it is what it is. Dak didn't do his thing, and I just feel like it was a physical game. I called it last episode. I said the battle of turnovers.
That you did.
And they won.
That you did. You definitely said
I
it was
want to
going
know
to be
a
the
rag
battle of
at it.
turnovers. However, when it comes to Dak Prescott and his interceptions, I will say that those 3 that he threw, like, they really wasn't like game changing or game breaking, because by that time the game was already over. So at that point, he just really trying to get his team back into the game. So he's taking a little bit more risky shots and like throwing it downfield. Because I believe he threw his first interception like towards the end of the second quarter or something like that. So
because he was trying to force it.
Yeah,
he was forcing stuff at that point.
Yeah, so I mean, that Prescott interceptions still do not concern me as a Cowboy fan. I think he still is managing his turnovers where he's not really like putting the team in bad positions. I mean, we would see this upcoming week versus Chargers where now he take those type of chances. But we'll see. But let's talk about like Dak and Brock Purdy. Like, if you had to restart over a franchise and build a franchise, who would you take? Or is he even?
Hey, go ahead, Rod. I want to hear Rod on this one.
Yeah.
I want to tag in. I want to jump in on your last conversation. Well, for one, you're delusional, Sean, to not be worried about Dak and his picks and how he was performing. But what I will say is, you know, you mentioned that we didn't see the arguing on the sideline, right? You didn't see players jumping in other players' face and people getting fired up. I think from an outsider's perspective, it would concern me because there was no true leadership out there, right? It was almost like they were accepting the fact that the 49ers were better than them. They were accepting the fact that they were getting outplayed, or, you know, the Niners are more physical, which, you know, if I'm a Cowboys fan, like I'm not cool with that. It's not that I want to see, you know, players get upset or, you know, fight and do this and that, but I'm like, hey, Dak, you know, fire up the boys, or, you know, Micah Parsons, get the crew together, and we gotta understand that, hey, we can do better than this. We have shown we are better than this. Now we need to go out here and fucking execute. So that would have been my whole perspective on, you know, what really happened throughout that game. And I just thought that was really interesting watching that from an outsider's perspective.
You wanted to see somebody more of a step up situation, like, hey, we're down, rally the troops type of move. I see what you're going with it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I agree with him as well. Like I said, coming from a fan, like, I mean, when I saw Tony Pollard fumble, I saw him get up and just run back to the sideline. I ain't see nobody in his face be like, yo, bro, hold on to the ball, dog. Like, what are you doing? Like, when the defense was jumping off sides, man, do you know that our defense extended like 3 of the 49er drives that actually led to points? Without that, the 49ers don't have those 14 points heading into the half, because we extended a drive like on 4th down where we actually made a stop, but we had like a taunting penalty or like a pass interference or something like that. And then that extended the drive, and then they scored like a few plays later. So without that and being disciplined on defense, then I think the 49ers don't have those points. And I didn't see nobody on the sidelines jumping in each other's face like, hey, stay on sides, man. Stop causing those stupid penalties. And that's the type of stuff that you see on other teams, like the Eagles. Like, I think a few weeks back, you saw A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts going at it on the sideline because A.J. felt that he should have got more targets. You didn't see none of that on the Cowboys sideline. Yeah, they might be all buddy and the camaraderie might be there, but I want to see that intensity, man. I want to see them like, hey, we can match the 49ers physical attitude. Like, they just beating up on us and they just went to the sideline and be like, okay. Like, what is that?
It's just almost as if they accepted that they were not a better team that day or in general, which, you know, that's a no-go for me. Just coming from a former athlete's perspective, right? Like, you got to compete. Even if you lose, you're not going to win every game, But get out there and work your butt off, work every play. You got my back, I got your back. If I'm not having a good game, hey, you all right? You good? We got this. Let that last play go. Let's get up and let's go do what we got to do, type of deal. So yeah, that was just interesting to me, man.
Yeah.
So Rod, as a former athlete, my question is to you, right? You've been part of teams, you've been part of like situations where you have a coach ask to, change it up at halftime, this and that. Now, when you see a guy like Shanahan that's been calling great plays for a lot of years, right? Do you feel that it's Brock Purdy is a product of that scheme, or has he proven that he could still throw the rock?
Man, I really haven't watched the Niners this year. He definitely looked like a MVP caliber quarterback, that game. But I also think that they just, really had a good game. It was just their night, personally. But when you look at Brock Purdy and Shanahan play calling, I just think they were in sync, right? I think Shanahan was putting him in a position to be successful, and I think he went out there and he executed, personally. And I think that's the way it should be when it comes to coaching and when it comes to your star players or whoever's on the team. The coach is supposed to put you in a position to win. It's supposed to make sure that you're successful, and I think that's what happened. I think it was just a beautiful picture and how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, I know I'm a big Cowboys fan, but I will put out this stat. I know Brock Purdy right now, he is 10-0 in regular season play. Last time he lost was in the playoffs when the Eagles literally knocked him out physically. But I guess that's my next thing to go into, Rich, is like, do you think in order to beat the Niners, right? Now, again, the Cowboys, we didn't figure it out this time. Hopefully we get them back in the playoffs, right? But like, do you feel you have to out physical the Niners to beat them, or is it something else?
For me, like to beat the 49ers, the Cowboys must be able to execute on offense and defense to the fullest extent. They don't have to out physical the 49ers. They just got to execute. If they was able to execute last week, we'd be having a total different conversation. Was they able to run the ball last week? No. Was they able to pass the ball last week? No. Was the special teams able to put the offense in a great field position? No. If you do those things, you beat the 49ers fairly easy last week. But they didn't do none of that. So that's why they lost.
Very point taken right there.
So let's circle back to the coaching, right? Kyle Shanahan, Mike McCarthy, play calling, right? Both offensive geniuses, supposedly, allegedly. We are in week 5 of the Mike McCarthy play calling opportunity. Some of the differences that I'm seeing from week 1 to week 5, things that I saw in week 1 was some sort of sense of urgency with the play calling. Dudes getting the play in, they run into the line, they're hiking the ball. Here we are, week 5. I don't see that no more. I haven't seen that since week 1. I see the plays coming in late. I see them like just walking to the line and then hiking the ball, allowing the defense to be set and yada, yada, yada. I'm also seeing wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, having bad body language because he's not getting the ball. I don't know if you guys recognize that or anything like that, but I'm noticing the receivers getting down when they're not getting their targets or touches. Like I noticed plenty of times CD was kind of frustrated, rightfully so. He's not getting the ball. He's a superstar, but they come out and they line up and I see his body language. I'm like, oh, that's a run play. And they hike the ball and then it's a run play. Like, dude, you're literally giving away the play call just by your body language because they know you're not lining up for a route. Look how lazy you lining up for that route. Look at your body language. You gave it away that it was a run and they ran it. So I think Mike McCarthy compared to Kyle Shanahan, if I had to grade the two, Kyle Shanahan definitely is well above Mike McCarthy as far as the offensive play calling that happened this past week. Like, what do you guys thought about it?
I mean, like when you talk about the production, right? I'm thinking about the receivers right now. I'm actually looking at a stat right now. So CeeDee Lamb right now on the year has 27 receptions for 358 yards and a touchdown, right? So, when I'm looking at all the stats right here, the next high volume receiver right then is then Michael Gallup with 15 receptions, and then there's a huge drop off to only 9 receptions by Cooks and 7 receptions by Tolbert. Now, this is the part that I want to get into, right? Is you got a weapon like Brandon Cooks. Now, I'm not saying he's like Randy Moss, but I'm just saying you got a weapon of Cooks that, just like I spoke about a few weeks ago, like put Turpin on a jet sweep, utilize his speed, right? Same thing with Cooks. Cooks has enough speed to take the top off of defense. So what I'm saying is, yes, CD, you're mad that you're not getting the ball sometimes. I get that. You want the ball in your hand. You want to make a play. But at the play calling, you have to send this guy Cooks deep. You have to clear it out the way for him. And I'm not talking about send CD deep with him. No, CD can do a slant. CD could do a drag. He could do a double move across the middle, something, a quick out route, or sit down in between the zone. But send Cooks deep. Clear that safety deep. Right. Make them have to chase you and make them respect it. I think they need to utilize Cooks a lot more than just trying to throw him a screen or they make him do like these little hitch routes and stuff like that. Like I need to see him on drags, on jet sweeps, on deep, like just straight go route. Like, and I'm not talking from the outside go route. Put him in a slot, send him deep, clear out the safety. So that's what I would like to see more of when you're talking about production is offensively. Yeah, I mean Pollard's our cowbell right now, but you got to utilize Cooks, man.
So, do you think we miss Zeke? Do the Cowboys miss Zeke? I say yes, no. Only because looking at Tony Pollard and the way that they utilize him and the way that they run with him, like he's only good for like outside tosses, sweeps, and maybe a power here and there. But Zeke, they was able to run dives. They was able to go right between the tackles. For some reason, they don't seem like they want to run Tony Pollard up in between the tackles. He's fast if he could hit the hole.
I mean, he could, though, because I've seen him hit the gap before in between the tackles. That's a good point, Rich. But, like, the thing is, it goes back to play calling, right? It's you got to call the play, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to call the play where you're just going to go straight downhill on it. And you kind of got to give your boy a chance. Hey, I know he's putting up the Chiefs. Shout out to a Jersey running back, Isaiah Pacheco. What does he do? He runs between the tackles and he lowers his shoulder. He runs hard, right? Jonathan Taylor, another New Jersey running back, north and south, puts his helmet down and goes down. Now, Pollard can do that. The thing is, I think it needs to be, like you said, situational. They got to play call and throw it up there. Now, they bring in Rico Dowell, and he runs downhill too. Right. But, yeah, I'm with you, Rich. I don't think it's Pollard can't do it. I think they just don't want to do it. And I think the reason why they didn't do it against the Niners was, one, we were down, and two, I just think maybe their D-line, I think remember when Tyler Biotis got hurt during the course of the game and he kind of went out and we had our backup center in? I think right then and there he got nervous and he didn't want to call no more, up the gut in between the tackle runs because I think as a play caller, McCarthy was nervous that they might blow it up in the backfield. I think that's why you didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Let me ask you guys this. So I hear you talk about play calling. I personally think that Pollard is a great running back, and I don't think you guys are missing Ezekiel Elliott or not. But I hear you mentioned that CeeDee Lamb is not touching the ball, and what was the other receiver's name? I just slipped my mind.
So we have CeeDee Lamb, we got Michael Gallup, and then we have Brandon Cooks, and then Jalen Tolbert is the fourth one.
Cooks. Okay, so with obviously the play calling faller under Mike McCarthy now, I do think that you will have those growing pains of getting used to life without Ezekiel Elliott, right? But I was pointing at the Chiefs because obviously they have a great team, but I think that when it's all said and done, Andy Reid is going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, and really because of his offensive mind scheme, right? So do we think that Mike McCarthy is just not creative enough with that playbook? Do we think that maybe that's where the failure has come in? Like maybe I don't know if it comes from him, if they allow someone else to start play calling, or if he just needs to switch it up and say, hey, we've got a ton of weapons here. We got to start digging deeper into the playbook, and we got to get more creative to figure out how can we get everyone involved with the weapons.
Right. I mean, first off, you do got to put some respect on my coach's name. He is a Super Bowl winning coach, okay? He does have a Super Bowl, all right? So first off, we're going to start with that.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy good.
Is a Super Bowl winning coach, okay?
Yeah, McCarthy's good. Like I respect him as a coach, and I'm happy that he is our coach. And in the past couple games, even though we lost 2 so far, he has called good games. I know people are going to say, well, Mike, so amazing. You guys had the lead, and your defense was causing turnovers. Anybody can call a good game. I get it, but he was also spreading the ball around. He was getting creative with his play call. I personally think the Niners game was he tried to put the ball in his quarterback's hands, and Dak did not perform. I think that's what it was. I think he put, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be blatant. I think he said, Dak, go out there and make a play, and it just didn't work. And then now he, as a play caller, now he's got his, his hands in his pockets, and now he's trying to figure out, okay, what can I call next? I'm down 3 scores, And I mean, I get it. These guys are professionals. They need to figure that out on their own. That's their job. But I'm not mad about McCarthy. I think as a team we needed to execute a little bit better and stop with those mistakes.
Right. I agree 100%. So let's move on to the defense while we still got a little bit of time. The defense performance, it was kind of like mediocre. I think they could have did some things a little bit better when it comes to why we. If you look at the stats, right, like my biggest concern from last week was stopping CMC. CMC had 19 carries for 51 yards on the ground. Compared to what he was doing like in the first 4 weeks, bro, where he was averaging over like 100 yards per game and like two to three TDs, like I would say we kind of like limited CMC on the run game. Like I think we kind of slowed down their run game a little bit. Where we got in trouble was 3rd and longs when Brock Purdy actually passed the ball. And somehow he found holes in the defense. I don't know if that just was miscommunication or blown assignments or Dan Quinn just switched to a zone and everything got messed up. But when Brock Purdy had to pass the ball, he did, and it was successful, and it was a completion every single time. It was kind of like he was almost playing Madden a little bit because he was throwing to the corner, and it was open every goddamn time. Like he would do 3rd and 15 corner completion, 4th and it wasn't no 4th down, but it was like 2nd and long completion to the corner. Like, what's going on? Like, was Dan Quinn hoping for match coverage and it didn't match or what? Like, I don't know if you guys.
Well, he was finding people in zones too. Like there was a couple times where it was like a play action, then he found somebody in like a zone, and he was throwing it between the zones. So shout out to Purdy with that one. But I think defensively, they're really nothing. And I'm a big defensive guy, and I love looking at stats. I mean, Damone Clark had like probably some of the most solos there, but that goes back to slowing down CMC. I mean, we did what we needed to do. We slowed down CMC, but like again, when we're turning the ball over, and then Brock is making these first downs and moving the chains. I mean, listen, I'm a big football fan. I've been playing it, watching it, strategizing it for years, and it came to a point I was watching the game myself, and I'm just like, man, listen, we're just getting outplayed. Like there's no other way I can look at the game and find something that's like, oh well, that's a good point right there. The best part is that we slowed CMC down. And at that point, it's like, okay, good job. Like we slowed him down, but you got it. Like other things need to happen. You can't just, okay, we did one thing.
Right.
That's not how you win a football game. It has to be all aspects of all 3 aspects of the game.
Right. And that kind of like brings back to the point of like what we did last year to them in the playoffs where we slowed down CMC. But the major reason why we lost that game is because of turnovers. And Brock Purdy was able to make a few good plays, like 3 or 4 plays to put his team in good position. So it kind of was the same thing. We slowed down CMC, but Brock Purdy was able to execute. I said execute. Again, that E word that I said earlier. Mm-hmm. He was able to execute on a few plays and get those first downs and extend the drive. Because when you look at the whole game, he made about 4 or 5 passes that really put the team in a good position to get points. Without those 4 or 5 plays, we probably win the game, or it's a little bit closer than what it is. We was able to get him on 3rd down, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10, but he was able to find a hole in the zone and make a pass in the completion, and he was able to score off that. So we're close. We're close to beating him. Really, really close. We just got to execute. I don't know what else we need to do.
You weren't that close, man. It's all good, though.
He was like, I'm trying to be optimistic. I mean, honestly, I'll transition to this. Next week's game, matchup, Cowboy Nation, listen. This is going to be a big one. The reason why, not only do we have to bounce back and win, not only do we have to redeem ourselves and figure out where we're going to put Micah Parsons next week, because I'm thinking he might go back to middle linebacker just to move him around because we're going to need it. But the third thing is the battle of the play calling.
Right.
You have Kellen Moore former Cowboy play caller, going against his former team. Now he has Herbert with weapons over there, and Eckler might come back. Now, don't get me wrong. As a football fan, when I don't think about these two stars behind me, that sounds dangerous. If I was a gambler, you might lean your money over that matchup. You get a little revenge game. What we got to do, Cowboy Nation, is we need to get to Herbert. Dan Quinn, you need to dodge, blitz, do whatever you got to do to shut that man down. Because if Kellen Moore goes out there and balls out and he has that smile on his face like Rod does right now, it's going to be a revenge game and they're going to be talking about it all week.
Exactly.
So Kellen Moore versus McCarthy next week. That's my headline.
Right. And I think it's going to be a good little matchup, a good little chess match between Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy. I'm very eager to see how it comes out and like what offense actually thrives and like who does what on offense. But it's going to be a chess match. I hope Austin Eckler don't play next week. I mean,
less weapons.
Yeah, less weapons. I mean, but you started off with a good point. If we get to Justin Herbert, the Cowboys will be fine. Okay?
100%.
He will make mistakes. As good as Kellen Moore is, the Chargers are what, 2-2?
I mean, they like I said, they still got weapons. It's Kellen Moore. Listen, I know Kellen Moore. He's probably like this. This man, he's probably watching film. He probably said, "Thank you, Niners. Now I have film. Now I have game film. Thank you, Cardinals. I have game film." You know damn well this man's doing this right now. So, hey, shout out to him. He's a former Cowboy, and he was a former coach of us, Hart, too. Yeah. But hey, when what was it, Monday night? I think it's a Monday night game, right?
Monday night.
We got to come. We got to come hard because you know what? I would say the Chargers defense, even though they got names on that, they're not as good as people think. They're not playing up to par. And I want to kind of transition that to Rod because you're an AFC guy, right? You're a Chiefs guy, right? So my question is, what is it that Dallas has to do to beat the Chargers? Since you see a lot of AFC games.
You hinted on something earlier when you said that Mike McCarthy put the game in Dak Prescott's hands. Dak's got to show up. To answer that question, Dak has to show up. Can he psychologically bounce back from the game that he had? I really don't hope he does. I hope he has a horrible game. Just
wow.
But I was trying to make him a Cowboy fan, you know what I mean?
Wow.
For the Cowboys to win, Dak Prescott has to show up and he has to play a good game. Period.
So you're going after the bounce back, emotional, mental aspect of the game. You're going for the mental.
Yeah, I ask Sean. He'll tell you I do not like the Cowboys at all. Like I call them up all the time as I possibly can. But yeah, you guys have a really good team this year. You got some weapons. This can be you guys' year. I mean, it didn't happen last year. It didn't happen the year before. This might be the year. I doubt it, but
every year is our year.
Every year is our year, bro.
Psychologically, the Cowboys have to. They got to get it together, and Dak Prescott has to show up for this next game if you guys have any chance of winning. Period. That's what it comes down to. Right. I think everyone has to get it together if Dak Prescott shows up.
Now,
and what's your keys to victory, Rich?
Wait, before I answer that question, so with Kellen Moore being under Mike McCarthy last year, do you think he has like some sort of advantage into the psyche of what Mike McCarthy is definitely going to be calling and the type of style of play that they're going to be having? Because I imagine Kellen Moore is probably talking to the DC and be like, yo, I'm just going to line up the offense and tell you exactly what the Cowboys are going to be running, the type of plays that they be running, and then this is what you're going to try to scheme against. I think Kellen Moore might have some sort of advantage a little bit. I mean, they was on a bye week as well. So do you think that kind of plays into it a little bit on Sunday?
You know what I feel like is going to happen in that game? I think it's going to be a weird start. I think it's going to be a weird start to the game, meaning that it's Monday Night Football. There's going to be a lot of talk going into it. Everybody, the headlines with the Kellen Moore thing and the McCarthy thing, right? And can they bounce back? There's going to be so much like headlines. But when it comes to the actual between the lines, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I feel like the Cowboys are going to come out. They'll probably 3-and-out the Chargers. The Chargers are going to be nervous. Kellen Moore is going to, he's going to try to get too fancy. He'll mess up. And then I feel like we get the first score. And then I think second half is when like both coaches are going to get like real turned up, meaning like I think that's when Kellen Moore is going to bring out like all the trick plays, everything. Like I don't see it all coming out first half. I feel like it's going to be like an ease. I think they're going to ease into it.
Right, I can see that. And
I don't think it's going to be an advantage.
I can see that. Like for me, like the keys to the game, the Chargers and the Cowboys is definitely going to be on the offensive side on whether or not the Cowboys can control the clock, time of possession. Can they really keep control of the clock and take the clock at the end of the half, take the clock at the end of the game? Like, are they able to have long drives? Because the longer you keep Kellen Moore on the sideline in that offense and Justin Herbert, the more anxious he's going to get. He's going to get anxious. He's going to want to score. He's going to want to throw it deep. But if the Cowboys are chewing clock, not necessarily chewing clock, but having long drives, then that is going to like play to Mike McCarthy a little bit, because we all know Kellen Moore likes to put up points. We all know he likes to be aggressive. So if the Cowboys are like in their first possession, eat up about 7 or 8 minutes on the clock, and it's 3-4 minutes left in the first quarter, Kellen Moore is going to want to score at the end of that quarter. He's going to get aggressive.
He likes to air it out.
Yeah, he likes to air it out.
Yeah, he does like to air it out.
So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so if the Cowboys are able to control the clock, time of possession, they would beat the Chargers easy. Because Kellen Moore is going to like throw that game away. He's going to get real anxious. Be like, hey, Justin, throw the ball deep. Like, he's open. Like, we need to score here, guy. We need to score in like 3-4 plays. So I think that's going to be a key to the game is time of possession.
I think Michael Gallup has to step up this game. I think Michael Gallup needs to show up a little more. I would like to see Cooks being utilized more, take the top off that defense, open it up for the rest of the receivers. Jake Ferguson had a couple good touches last game too against the Niners. So I think they need to do that. That's what I recommend. I would like to see, as a Cowboy fan, stretch the field and utilize the underneath routes just to build Dak's confidence, like Rod said. Like, you got to build that confidence again. You can't have Dak throwing the ball 60 yards downfield first play and then probably getting it picked. And that's just going to bring down his mental, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times sports is just mental, right? It's like mental. It's, if you're feeling good, you play good, right? If you're starting to play, anxious or have a high anxiety, you start overthinking things, and that's just how football and sports are in general. Like Rod, you say you play basketball, right? Like, think about it. When you feeling it, you're just gonna be like, you know what? I'll go for the shot. But like when you start overthinking it, you might pump fake when you shouldn't have pump faked.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, absolutely. When you're in the zone, you're not even thinking, you're just flowing. And when you're in that mental flow, state of flow, it's coming to you. So when you do Michael Jordan, like, hey, you hit 6 threes in a row. Hey, I'm in the zone.
All right, so we need the Cowboys to be in the zone.
Exactly.
You can be hopeful all you want.
All right. So before we get to like the score predictions and get up out of here, man, we got a non-Cowboy fan on the Silver and Blue Huddle. So I got the $1 million question. What makes the Cowboys delusional? Can you help us out with that?
What makes the Cowboys fans delusional?
Yes. What makes the Cowboy fans delusional? Like, you're a non-Cowboy fan, so why do you hate us so much?
I don't know what makes you guys delusional. I wish I knew, because I need some of that in my life. Like, just the relentless amount of confidence that you guys have to know every year this is our year. Oh, we can bounce back. Oh, we're still those boys. I need some of that in my life. Like that level of confidence,
right,
is it's unmatched. But
do you like watch your team and be like, oh, I hope they lose, or I don't know that they're going to win? Like, how could you watch a game like that and not really have confidence in what you're watching that your team can actually produce? Because I don't know if we turn on the TV and be like, yo, I'm watching a bunch of losers. Like,
we got to realize there's some people out there. Like, I got friends of mine that are like Giants fans over here. And even them, they're like excited when they win. Like, they're just like, yeah, baby. Yeah, we were supposed to lose today, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always like, wait, so you came to the game thinking that you was going to lose? Yeah, man, we were supposed to lose this game. And I'm like, I don't care if the Cowboys are 1-15. I'm still going to be like, yo, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't get how people like watch their team sometimes. They're like, man, we still lost. We still like, what?
I think honestly, I think it's the Super Bowl talk. right? Like
Yeah.
every year the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. If you let a Cowboys fan tell it, even if you lost 3 games, hey, we still might make it to the Super Bowl. Like I think maybe that's it, and just maybe the level of how confident you guys are when you talk it. How loud you guys are. Maybe that's what makes you delusional. But
Okay,
I don't know.
You was an athlete, right? You played professional. You played collegiate sports. The beginning of the
Right.
season, what was y'all team's goal? When the coach came out of his office, like, all right, team, get together. Here's our goal. We just want to win 3 games. Like, or what y'all goal was to make the tournament and win the damn tournament.
I think I know where you're getting at, so I'll just cut to it. What I can say is the Cowboys fans, the Cowboy Nation, you guys are very, very loyal, right? Like you're some of the most loyal fans that have ever walked the face of the earth. And I think if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm, suiting up, if I'm playing for the Cowboys, I think I definitely want fan support like that because you've watched other teams who will completely start booing the team, right? Start throwing things on the field or on the court or whatever. So I can't say that about the Cowboys. You guys are extremely loyal, and not really for me, but it has to feel good to be a part of that nation. I imagine.
Let's
I
go.
will say, as a true Cowboy fan, I know there's some crazy ones out there, but as a true Cowboy fan since my whole life, I'll be honest. Like, yeah, I'll admit that we got our butt whooped, but the thing about me being a Cowboy fan, I literally look right past that shit, and I'm like, all right, hey, we gonna win next week. Like I don't know how about you, Rich, but that's how I think. I'm like, all right, yeah, we took the L, but guess what? Chargers, you up next. Like that's the way I think. Like,
hey, I told the chat like, all right, I'm kind of like who was it? What Smokey on Friday? We lose, the Cowboys lose. I'll be quiet today, but tomorrow we winning that goddamn Super Bowl again. All right. Tomorrow I'm back to talking again. All right. Tomorrow I'm back on Cowboy Nation all day, every day. Okay. But I'll be quiet today because we lost. I give you like one day. But after that, on Tuesday, which is today, we going back to the Super Bowl and we still them boys.
Hey, you guys know that song Journey?
that cowbell coming back next week. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But Rod, you didn't even answer my question though. So is the goal to win the national championship or is it to win like 3-4 games? I mean, you can't be mad at the Cowboy fans. Be like every year that we coming in, be like, hey, we going to the Super Bowl. I don't think you ever heard a Cowboy fan say, hey, we just want to win 5 games. Like we just want to beat the Eagles. Oh, one last thing. Was there a Super Bowl won last on Sunday night? Because let the 49ers tell it, they think they won the goddamn Super Bowl by beating the Dallas Cowboys last on Sunday. Like, did I miss something? Did I miss a memo? Like, it's like a big ass celebration going on around in California. I don't think no Super Bowl champion was won. Like, what happened?
They let y'all know that y'all are indeed not those boys.
Oh my God.
Sorry. That's it.
All right. Before we get out of here, man, it's week 6 versus the Chargers, man. Yeah. Give me a score prediction. Who you got? Go ahead, Rod.
Who do we have? You guys got Chargers?
Yeah.
Yep. Monday Night Football, prime time.
Man, I'm calling 35 to. It's gonna be a low scoring game, in my opinion. 35-28. I think it will be close though.
35-28 Chargers. You saying?
Chargers. Yep.
Oh my God. Of course, he's going with the Chargers.
No, yeah, that's not even the question.
He's gonna want to come back up here on Tuesday and be like, "I told you so." Like, okay.
I'll for the record, I'm only gonna make appearances after the Cowboys lose. For the record.
Nah, you win. We win. You got to make an appearance back. I'm obviously gonna go with the Cowboys. I think it may even be like a shootout a little bit. I'm gonna go with 37-30 Cowboys.
Really?
I think we get back on track and outscore. We're gonna have to be able to like put up points versus that Chargers defense because Kellen Moore is definitely gonna test our secondary.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I think about those receivers on the Chargers side and Kellen Moore, like he's gonna want to air that thing out. He's gonna want to light up the scoreboard Monday Night Football. He knows everybody's watching, all the Cowboys things are watching. I mean, but I gotta go with the Dallas Cowboys. I think our defense steps up. I think we get some turnovers this one. I think we wake up. I think we wake back up. But yeah, I think it becomes a shootout. I'm gonna go with 20. I'm actually gonna go with 28-24 Cowboys.
28. I like
28-20. I think it's really close.
it. I like it. Who has the most
think it's-
turnovers? Justin or Dak?
I think there will be turnovers, though. There will be by the quarterbacks. I think it's damn.
Something to think about.
That's something to think about. That's something to think about going into the game. I don't even have an answer right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Hater, who do you have,
Well-
Hater? Dak or Justin?
Hater. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Yeah, you caught me off guard there. Of course, I'm running with Dak, but here's what I will say. From an unbiased perspective, I'll say that it depends if Dak starts off the game well or not. Dak is one who completely lives off of confidence. When his confidence goes down, like you lost Dak. So I do think he'll have a turnover. I think he'll probably have more than who's the quarterback for the Chargers?
Justin Herbert.
Herbert. Yeah, I think he'll have more than him. I'm going with one. I'm going with Dak.
So Justin not going to turn the ball over at all?
I don't think so.
He says the Cowboys defense does not wake up.
Dang.
But you know what? I think back to Dak's mental. I think we're getting at something on today's show. Mental health and sports mental health is a thing. I personally believe that. I think Dak, you should see a sports therapist. I think he should.
Right.
I think he should, and it's not as like a bad thing. I think he should. I think he should have somebody to talk to.
It wasn't like I was watching Hard Knocks. Like, don't they provide the players a therapist after games? Because no, I was watching Quarterback on Netflix with Kirk Cousins. The team provided him with a therapist, and he used to go see the therapist after every game, and they would talk about it.
I think they need that.
Yeah.
I think they need that, or he could just go the Aaron Rodgers route and go like ayahuasca and everything. He's doing everything all natural.
Right.
Speaking of that man thinks he coming back in like December. So that's another miracle that we're about to see. Right. He said, no, he's too old.
Yeah, he is a little bit too old, man. Like he can't, I don't see that happening.
I mean, yeah, he's saying that he's trying to break a record. I mean, that's an Achilles, man. I mean, it's a hard injury to come back from.
Right.
Very hard injury at that age to come back from. I mean, shoot, when Kobe did it, he wasn't 40, was he? I don't think Kobe was that old.
Yeah, but how long was he out though? Do you remember offhand? Like he was gone for the season or no, right?
He didn't come back that quick.
Right. I don't think Kobe came back that quick.
Yeah, I want to say he might have been out for the season, but I know for sure he didn't come back within that time frame window.
I think what is the average? What they say, the medical expert, they say something like 6 months? Is like an average for like Achilles? I think it is. Yeah.
I thought it was like a year. I thought they'd gone for the year.
Yeah. I mean, to say December, it's tough.
Right.
It's a lot.
All right. Well, here we are, wrapping up episode number 4 of the Silver and Blue Huddle, man. Special guest, Cousin Rod here. Hopefully he'll be able to make some more appearances. I definitely know he'll be here if the Cowboys happen to lose, but I don't anticipate the Cowboys losing no more this season. So this might be the last time you see Cousin Rod on the show, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And as always, we got my man So Amazing New Jersey as well. Make sure you follow us all on our social media. The Silver and Blue Huddle is available on all streaming and podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google. So guys, make sure you definitely hit us up and listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform. So I'm gonna hand it over to these guys for one last word if they have something. Go ahead.
6 weeks here for an Achilles injury, so it just depends on how severe it was. Just want to say that. But other than that, go Chargers, go Chiefs. See you guys next week after the loss.
Hey, go Cowboy Nation! Can't wait to come back and talk about the game next week. And it's and I feel our defense is gonna wake up. So peace out, Cowboy Nation. I will see you back again next week.
All right, Silver and Blue, we out.